It's already 2:40. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. We'll try, though. Anyway, welcome back to Kharak number 8. Welcome back to the channel, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. This is Maze playing as the Soban versus Catharsis as random. This will be a pretty fun match, I think. But I've got to say, probably the edge to Catharsis here. He's one of those top-level players, I think. Doesn't really often win against people like Discara, people like Garmulator. Has he even played Garmulator? And you know what, I take that back, because I remember hearing that Catharsis had played this big series with Garmulator where he actually won, like, quite a lot. I don't know. Point is, he's really good. And Maze is not bad either, but I think I've got to give the edge to Catharsis here. We'll see what the players think of me critiquing them in this fashion. No, okay, never mind. Oh. Catharsis is playing as the Coalition and Maze is the Soban, so I thought for a second they were both Coalition and he had just gotten Base Runner inventory, and I was like, no. But no, Soban doesn't even have access to that tech because the targeting jammer is always available. And they can just eat it, I guess, with the AA turret, but I mean, that never really matters. Plus, how often do you say Base Runner inventory get researched anyway? It's kind of like the joke tech for like when you want to do something cheeky. Which is why I really like it, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, so both players is moving out in the middle with their base runners. Looks like both of them going for a bit of a eco style here, with Catharsis doing SC first. Maze, actually, I should point out, has got an LAV fabrication. But I imagine we'll be seeing... No, you know what we're seeing? Oh my gosh, the hiccups. I'm trying to talk here. We're seeing Octa Salve on the CUs. That sounded so stupid. So what is he planning on making that's that CU heavy that he wants to have 8 salvagers getting CUs? I mean, it's gotta be LAVs, right? And there they come. So this will be pretty interesting. It looks like it's gonna be very heavy on the CUs for Maze. He wants to get some damage done here, clearly. LAV fabrication is on the way for Catharsis. We'll have to see what he does with that. And actually, double base runner getting produced now. He definitely wants to take control of the middle, get those artifacts. Those yummy, yummy artifacts. If I were Maze, I would kind of try to contest this one and like jostle his base runner back and forth, because that can be really annoying for players. It kind of taxes their micro, and you know, if he can take this one, then the base runner has to run out there to get it, and the LAVs are in the area. But it looks like he's not going to go for that. It's a little bit unfortunate. Probe also got sniped, I suppose. I don't think Catharsis launched one, but Maze did lose his. Artifacts are spawning. Getting picked up here. Now, the base runner being in the area means that he can throw down a targeting jammer on a turret if there is one. That would be quite a nice thing to do. That is kind of expensive though, and you definitely need to be able to capitalize on it at that moment, or else you're not going to get too much out of it. And you know what I'd really like to see Maze do at this point is just go for a support cruiser, because you've gotten like your sort of offensive units out here in the middle. They're doing some good damage, but now you know your opponent is also going to be macroing on the back of this, and you kind of need to catch up. So look at the resources he may be saving up. He's got 450 already. One base runner went down, by the way. This turret in a bit of an unfortunate position. As you can see, like, it's very hard to see that there's actually a hill there, but if you zoom in, you can tell, you know, it is actually there. You come to learn the maps the more you play them, you know what I mean? But also, when you go into Sensors Manager, it turns black for a second. I don't know if that's showing up in the video. Actually, it's going to be railguns and AAVs for Catharsis, it looks like. Did Maze start making a production? No, he didn't. Or Sport Cruiser, that is. He's just going to go straight into AAV fabrication. And this is where things start getting really dangerous, I feel. But that turret does get cleared out. He's definitely got the field control that he needed here. He'll be happy with that. But if his eco falls too far behind, like, make no mistake, there's no way he's going to push here. He does not have the units to do it. So getting the 2 base runners is an excellent pickup. But you usually need to have somewhat of an eco backup if you're going to do this kind of thing. There are very few builds that you can really successfully do off of one base unless they're timing pushes. Nice smoke by Catharsis, but it's just a tiny bit too late, and Maze does get the pickup right there. LAV's running off into the corner. They could get chased a little bit, but looks like Catharsis is not interested in that. Of course, LAVs actually outrange these boys, so they actually can kill them. It's pretty backward sounding, but yeah, you don't want to get, you know, too cocky with them. AA turret getting set up over here. That's kind of an interesting move, but it's quite expensive, isn't it? Yeah, like 350 CUs. That could be a support cruiser right now. Although it looks like he is building one, so maybe it doesn't matter too much. But I'm still not totally. And a missile battery. Oh my gosh. I think Maze knows that. I mean, I know he watches all my casts, and I talk about it all the time. How Catharsis is like this anti-air player, or sorry, an air player, like through and through. It's the truth. But I think this might be just a little bit too much blind anti-air. We'll have to see. Because normally Catharsis is not going to go for it until he's got rail fabrication, you know, started at least. And also the anti-air turret post just kind of get killed off here. Like when you know there's AAVs in the field, you don't really have that field control anymore. So you see what I mean now about like AAVs getting killed by LAVs? Like they've killed one, I think, and they've taken half health on that one. So they've traded like equivalent damage essentially. The fight is like going definitely Catharsis' way, but he can't continue it or else he'll actually end up dying there. Yeah, I thought that was a little bit curious. Catharsis had clicked on battlecruiser fabrication, but he ended up canceling that. Kind of a shame actually, because I'd love to see that, but yeah, that's definitely the right move. I won't lie about that. So Maze, my friend, what are you doing? You can win a rail war, can't you? As Soban, I think you can. And your eco is actually better than his, right? Or is it equal? Yeah, they look pretty much equal. I think he ought to go for the rail war. So to do that, you want to expand onto more bases, obviously. Get railguns, obviously. But he doesn't even have railgun fabrication finished yet. He could go. Oh man, he could go straight into battlecruisers. I wonder if he's doing that. But he's probably saving up to. No, yeah, he's gonna get railgun fabrication. He's probably also saving up. Nope, he canceled it. I don't even know. Catharsis, meanwhile, is expanding, so that's something that needs to be done, obviously, right here for Maze. Power reserves coming out for Catharsis. He is Coalition. He's got the God Carrier, so we could see some shenanigans with that. I think it just goes well with railguns. Actually, the AAV is turning out to be a little bit out of position right here. And this probe doing a good job finding out where those ones are, but these are going to be a bit of a surprise. And Maze has no answer to it right now. Railgun fabrication is still just on the way. So there's action kind of going on everywhere now. This side is undefended, that side is undefended, everything's undefended, you know what I mean? This is like, this is a rusher's dream right here. Maze was going for the support cruiser, but I don't think he's ever going to get that, so it seems like a little bit of a mistake. Now he's going for salvagers, that's probably the better move. One down already. But we can say the same on the other side. ALM's now getting targeted, and I know that two have already gone down. Or, yeah, two have just now gone down. Railgun fabrication just now finishing, but I really feel like Catharsis attack did more there. And that's going to be a problem. Also, I think Maze thinks he's got the artifact right now, but he doesn't. Or maybe he's moving to pick that one up. And the AVs retreat, they're not even going to die. So that threat is kind of like still looming overhead. That's a very nice move, I think, because I said in the last video how these units are kind of sacrificial in this context, and it's kind of true. But at the same time, if you can keep them alive and like have them on two flanks like this, your opponent can't leave his base essentially, which is a really nice move. Just kind of freezes him. He's got to find a way to deal with it. Just going to take out more ALMs here, just be more annoying, and that's not bad at all. This is not really a good targeting jammer here. Because it's not concealed by terrain, and it also just doesn't do anything. Like, the AVs can just come in and kill it, you know, those things cost money after all. Is that railgun? Tell me how you think that makes sense, man. Yeah, they're actually shooting through the cliff. Anyway, those AVs get cleaned up, which is very nice. You know actually what this targeting jammer does? If Catharsis attacked right now, his opponent wouldn't even be able to shoot at him. That's what it does. But that's not a good move. You don't want to try that kind of stuff because there's actually an option to detonate them. And if you do that, then your opponent can kind of get caught out if he supposes he's going to use your targeting jammer against you, you know what I mean? Well, Catharsis mining fine on 3 bases, and he's beginning to mobilize his very powerful carrier here. Powers are 4 on the way. No artifact, and that's a little sad for him. It was a nice pickup that Maze got in the beginning. Look, they're even losing a railgun to these AAVs. It's a little sloppy. But he is now making base turrets, in fact 3 of them. Holy goodness. He's got the upgrade lead, yeah, I believe he does with his railguns here. And he's got the numbers too. Now, sub-on railguns are notoriously, like, amazing, but I still think that that should go, you know, Catharsis' way if the fight gets taken now. And that's very, very bad for Maze. So, 2 artifacts already in the base runner. I don't know. There's no expression for that, obviously. If it comes to rail war, you want your rails fighting your opponent's rails, and that's what Catharsis is doing actually uphill here. So he ought to be losing it, but the Sylvan rails are not targeting properly. They're against the carrier here, which is kind of meant to be a damage sponge in this particular scenario. Power 5 on the way. Cruise missile availability is going to be pretty soon, I'd say. And these rails getting killed pretty easily here. There's even an AAV to hold the fort, and I think that should be pretty much enough against this number. Is a turret getting set up right here? No, he doesn't. He's not ready for that. Base runner inventory, yeah. It's a good tech. Yeah, no damage upgrades on these LAVs, and there are armor upgrades and a support cruiser on that AAV, so I don't think he's ever going to be able to clean that one up. Some disorganization in Catharsis lines here as the units try to run into each other, but that's okay. We could see a couple salvager kills here, perhaps, but they could also be smoked. This would be a good use of smoke right here. Now he's gonna go down. Didn't need to, I don't feel, but that's alright. Double extraction comes down now for Catharsis. He's got quite a lot of power to play with. He could have full range, which is really bad for his opponent. And there's even a missile battery thrown in the mix here, but again, you haven't seen any signs of air from your opponent, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's a little bit suspect, unless he wanted to, like, incorporate it into the army, but at this point it's going to be a rail war, so that's not really going to do too much. And if Catharsis could get wind of the fact that his opponent's railguns are all together here, I'm sure he'd be cruise missiling that immediately. But as you can see, the vision just doesn't work out that way, not yet. However, these ALMs getting hit by the carrier from this distance, which is pretty rough. Looks like a probe got shot down there, so that's actually not bad, you know, that kind of stuff can happen. Cruise missile is flying, where is it at? It's just at the eco, which is a little disappointing. But it's still a good hit. Now, I think the railgun majority has gone into May's favor, but he's not on the high ground here, and that could really come back to bite him. He's getting stunned though, so... And May's kind of maneuvering past him right here. This carrier is in a bit of an awkward position where it can only leave like through here, where it doesn't want to right now. And so I feel like, sort of a funny way Maze can go for the base trade now, but that's probably not going to favor him. I mean, just look... First off, look at what carriers you've got. If it comes to the end game, I think Soban wins every time. Or, sorry, Coalition wins every time. And furthermore, he's got much more power than you do, so that's not going to be enough. His railguns on the high ground take no prisoners, and all of the rails, except for 2 of Maze, are going to go down now. He's going to move his eco out there, so that actually makes a little bit more sense, but I still think it's a pretty dire scenario. And that cruise missile is going to be ready in a minute. Battlecruiser fabrication even coming out, and this is a good map for it because it's difficult to outmaneuver your opponent. There's not many places to go. And I think Maze ought to be supply capped as well here. Also losing more railguns to these AAVs, which is quite bad. If there was some more railgun armor here, he'd be able to do this kind of stuff because the AAVs don't do too much damage at that point, but no, both of them are going to go down there. And you can't really base trade with your carrier because it doesn't really do much. It's a Soban carrier. They don't do much. So Catharsis is going to gently backpedal into his opponent here. He's already mining off of this, this 4th location, and I've got to say, actually, he makes this look pretty cool, because that's a position you can easily hold, So if your attack is in that location, you can mine from it too. That's kind of an interesting idea. Cruise missile is ready. He might as well just kind of say like, yeah, screw these guys, and throw a cruise missile over there. It'd be fine. Whole bunch of railguns in the area, doing a whole lot of damage like they do. There's the cruise missile, and that ought to be all she wrote for Maze. He's even backing away. He's like, boom. What? Nice. I must be thinking of high ground nukes, like how much damage they do. Oh well. Point is, that was not a bad game at all. For Catharsis, that is. For Maze, I think it was pretty good. Like there were a lot of highlight moments, I think, where he actually did quite well, but he needs to expand a little bit faster, I think. One base aggression doesn't tend to work unless it's a timing push, like I said. You know, like one PC assault ship aggression or like double production cruiser aggression. These are both Gaussian strategies, but you get what I mean. If you go for an AAV rush, for example, off of one base, then you expand. That needs to be what follows after. And your hope is that you can do the damage to not just like equal how much eco loss you've taken by not expanding first, but actually like outdo it, you know what I mean? Otherwise you're not really gonna win the game. So nicely done to Catharsis, very cool, clean game from him. Let's move on to the next one, shall we?